Hi and welcome to today's video. And I'm currently in an area of my backyard that's undergoing like a bunch of construction. It looks a bit weird, but just ignore it. Anyway, today's video I am focusing on 5 of the biggest misconceptions I hear about lucid dreaming. Some of them are kind of funny, some of them are kind of like have like scientific basis, and I'm just gonna like go through them to like clarify some of the concepts around that. Yeah, I wanted to make this video appropriate for both like beginners in lucid dreaming and also people familiar with lucid dreaming, so hopefully it'll be helpful for everyone. Okay, so number 1, you can and should be able to control your dreams. So something people ask me a lot is like, how do I lucid dream? Because I want to be able to control my dreams. And I've started to realize that control is kind of being conflated with the concept of lucidity. So a lot of people think that what makes a dream lucid is if you're able to control the dream itself. So the myth here is that lucidity equals control. Lucidity by definition does not mean that you're able to control your dreams. It means that you're aware of the fact that you're having a dream. Being able to control your dreams is just one of the potential capacities offered when you achieve awareness of the fact that you're dreaming. And in my other video, I actually talked about this theory. I talked about how I feel that dream awareness and lucidity is happening along like a cyclical spectrum in which you can go through stages and you can go forwards and backwards and you can kind of move around that throughout the dream rather than just like you're lucid or you're not lucid. The facet of this myth is that if you're lucid dreaming, you should be able to control your dreams, or you should want to be able to control your dreams. But if controlling your dreams is like your only aim in the lucid dream itself, you're actually missing out on one of the most powerful sort of tools that are available in the lucid dream, and that's being able to have a direct and mutual communication with your subconscious. So in a lucid dream, you can engage, at least in part, with a less understood and separate part of your mind. And it's often really separate to waking consciousness. And it's an unknown area of experiencing. Things recorded and communicated in the subconscious include memories, hidden personal truths, information about the body, and psychological revelations. Like honestly, in real waking life, there are really not that many ways that you can actually facilitate this direct conversation. There are alternate states of consciousness, there's like really being metacognitively aware of your body, but to the degree of what lucid dreaming can actually offer you, there is not much that comes close. So yeah, I really, it confuses me when people sort of like miss out on that whole thing where it's just like, let's control my dreams. But it's like, why don't you just listen to them instead? Okay, number 2, lucid dreaming is harmful. Like it can be dangerous, like psychologically, physically, mentally, or spiritually dangerous. For the most part, lucid dreaming has not been shown to be any sort of clinical danger. With any long-term harm or harmful effects. That said, more research is definitely needed to fully like understand, because we don't have that many studies on lucid dreamers and what happens before and after and during, and the mental health especially. We don't have many studies on like the mental health and any sorts of those elements for lucid dreamers. But I really believe that lucid dreaming can be a incredibly beneficial tool that offers like creative capacity, healing capacity, an area of which you can begin to explore and understand yourself better. However, there is the capacity to encounter things that are disturbing, like either in your dream or during the time in which you're initiating the dream, or like after the dream. You can have like sleep paralysis if you're doing something like the wild technique. You can have hypnagogic and hypnopompic hallucinations. Some of those things, if you don't know what's going on, you already feel ungrounded, they can be a little bit scary. So it can be frightful, but whether those things in context are actually damaging to oneself is up for debate. Our own experience, when I've been going through like periods where I'm doing lucid dreaming like a lot, it has occasionally led to feelings of dissociation, vertigo. I definitely got an increase in hypnagogic and hypnopompic hallucinations. While these effects aren't necessarily harmful, they can totally be unsettling. And some researchers have raised concerns of whether lucid dreaming and initiating lucid dreaming can actually lead to or increase the risk of psychiatric conditions such as psychosis, especially in vulnerable individuals. However, there's no current strong evidence to 100% back this or even really suggest this. So with any altered state of conscious practice, the key is to stay grounded, listen to your body and mind, and approach lucid dreaming with curiosity and care. Myth 3. Lucid dreaming will lead to an interruption in natural and innate psychological processes. And this is a really fun one to explore, and this is something that I like to talk about a lot. But anyway, the theory comes from assertions in Jungian psychoanalysis. The belief is that lucid dreaming may interrupt the natural psychological process of individuation, and this is through which a person experiences ascending stages of growth, where the aim is to develop a separate and unique sense of self. This process is reflected in dream symbology that Jungian analysis believe can help a person through their growth, but by lucid dreaming, you'll interrupt this process. It's really important with this myth to understand that this comes from a philosophical and theoretical framework to which it is really difficult to falsify. What I mean is it really depends on what your psychological and philosophical frameworks around both psychological individuation and lucid dreaming actually is. But from my own experience, I would argue that lucid dreaming doesn't have to interrupt the process. In fact, it can help to deepen the process. For instance, let's say that I'm struggling with a particular psychological theme. In talk therapy, I might explore it verbally, reflect on patterns, and process the emotions intellectually. This can be really incredibly helpful. But in a lucid dream, the theme might appear as a symbolic figure or a fully immersive scenario, something that I can see, interact with, talk to, and confront directly. The emotional and sensory intensity of the experience can lead to a profound release or a realization that might actually transcend traditional talk therapy. And it's for this reason that I believe lucid dreaming doesn't have to interrupt the process, but can actually help aid the process. Myth number 4. Yeah, 4. Your expectations will create your reality. This myth is partially true, but there is more to it than just what that implies. So the idea that your expectations create your reality is kind of linked to a cognitive process known as top-down processing, where your brain uses existing beliefs, memories, and expectations to shape how you interpret incoming experiences. And this actually works in both dream and non-dream scenarios. But I guess in the part where it's kind of like mythic is that it doesn't always work as seamlessly as what that kind of sounds like. And also, maybe you're not drawing from conscious expectations, rather you're actually drawing from subconscious expectations. And this would kind of be backed by the fact that when I'm in a lucid dream, from my personal experience, not everything is happening that I think will happen. Sometimes something that I had no idea will just sort of like form if I'm trying to do something consciously. Like if I'm projecting consciously on something else might appear and it's totally different to what I was thinking. That's what I'm trying to say. The underlying like issue with this myth is that it kind of perpetrates the belief that like if you're really worried something might happen, it's just gonna happen. It's just gonna come get you. Like you should be really scared and you should avoid it because you don't want to just like manifest these things. I don't think it really happens like that. There are instances and circumstances where that can happen, that has happened in my dreams, but it's okay. And you can develop frameworks around that experience that help you understand and also deal with it as it's happening. So this is still an exciting process where I feel like the benefits outweigh the cons of this like potential that like you are still experiencing something really amazing with a lot of potential and you're still able to sort of learn more about your subconscious. 5, and the last myth, the final myth, this one's the funniest to me. This myth is that you should never look in a mirror when you're in a lucid dream. And I think this is like really kind of fueled by like creepy TikToks that go around that I think it's just like fear clickbaiting, honestly. But there's still just so much misconception around lucid dreaming that says that it's a frightening thing, it's like paranormal, it's really spooky. I think what people are really scared of seeing is like they're gonna look in the mirror and they're gonna see themselves, but like like a demonic version of themselves. It's gonna be like really spooky, and that's gonna drive you insane or something. It sounds ridiculous like when I'm saying it, but the reality is that there's so much misconception around lucid dreaming. There's so much open for interpretation that like this could conceivably be true. Like if you don't know anything about lucid dreaming and somebody tells you this, you're like, how are you supposed to know that that's something that won't happen? But it's really funny to me. I had to show you guys quickly. There is a turkey on the fence right there that just jumped up as I was talking about this, and it scared the absolute shit out of me. I'm sorry for laughing at everyone. That was karma. But anyway, the turkey's still here, but let's just keep talking about this. If you were to look in a mirror and you saw yourself and you saw like a stranger looking version of you, you are really just looking at your subconscious. I mean, we can't prove that's anything other than your subconscious unless you believe that your dream can be infiltrated by like paranormal sort of activity while you're asleep, and that's okay to believe that, but my prevailing belief is that you are looking at your subconscious, and to be scared of your own subconscious is like being scared of a ghost that lives inside of you. It's just you. And what I have to sort of evidence this theory and these beliefs is that in my own lucid dreams I've looked in mirrors many times. I've looked at creepy looking versions of myself. It's never led to anything, any negative repercussions or consequences. And if anything, I've looked at myself. I've even looked at clones of myself. I've seen versions of myself that were younger and like my age, like that I currently am. I haven't really seen like an older version of myself, though I've seen like strange looking versions of myself in the mirror. If anything, looking at those versions of myself has been able to open up something in me that I can kind of like confront my fears around looking strange, looking like different, looking creepy. What about that scares me? And you know, I can sort of like work with those fears or work with those feelings that are brought up with me. If this is something that you are really scared of, I suggest that you just sort of, before you even try to lucid dream, you ask yourself, what are the elements that really scare you? What's the worst thing that can happen? Is it worth it? Is it not worth it? You try and stay mindful and you try and stay grounded, and you try your best to work with what the lucid dream offers you, even if it is a bit weird or unsettling. It is a really empowering and fascinating practice that the more you know about, the more becomes available to you, and the more fun you can have with it, the more creative you can be. So remember, when you are doing this, you are thinking about it, approach it with curiosity, not fear, and have fun with it. And with that, I hope you guys have a really good day.